My name is Jill Dennis, and I am the Vice President of the Association for Supervised Ankle Monitoring Providers. I'll make a long story short. St. Francisville had a murder. A husband killed his wife while on ankle monitor after stalking her for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, he killed her and then he killed himself. We helped the DA in St. Francisville indict that provider, and the First Circuit Court overturned the indictment, stating that there was no law that said GPS providers actually had to monitor someone. So we went to the Capitol. It's the only place I knew where our laws get written. And no one was working with it with GPS or trying to solve the problem with all of the bodies that were stacking up. So went back to my office with a general counsel and wrote a bill. We were able to get that bill passed, and now providers of GPS are forced to actually supervise their people all the way to the point of arrest and getting kicked out of the state. So, but there was one more thing that's still missing: licensing and licensing, and then actual knowing who these providers are. So we've spent the last year actually writing a database that makes the providers register within that database. Once they're registered, we know who they are. When they register, a statewide registry is available online for all of our law enforcement stakeholders. When they enroll an offender into the program, the minute they enroll him and hit submit, or her, and hit submit, an email goes out to the sheriff, the clerk, the court, the DA, the bonding company. Now, and it's available for public view for the whole community. If you go to asapgps.org, you can see everybody on an ankle monitor that is already enrolled. There's over 2,000 offenders in it. So I'm on a mission right now to go across our state and make sure that our sheriffs and our courts are making the providers register and making them put their offenders in. On top of that, providers of GPS are required to report all violations of strap tampers, victim exclusions, and dead batteries. This software will also have them putting that into the system. The minute they hit submit, an email goes to the court and to the clerk, and all law enforcement have it available. So what we're doing right now, there is not a registry. If it's not ASAP doing it, which is the company that I run, then no one knows who's being monitored. But ASAP's offenders are wide open. Go to asapgps.org and you can look at every single offender we've ever monitored. There's over 2,000 people in it right now. Tomorrow I go to Point Capee, West Baton Rouge, and Iberville Parish, and they are going to make their providers register. So that's a good thing. We're going to have some of those. I have spoken with Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge. That's where there's a really, really big problem when it comes to GPS, and I'm working on it. The issue we have is providers don't want to register. They don't want people to know who they're supervising. They don't want people to know who they're not reporting on. And that is a big problem. And just the last thing, this isn't paid for by the jurisdictions. The price to register is $150 a year. That gives the association the ability to go into these jurisdictions, teach law enforcement how to use it, make sure all the emails are in so everybody's getting the right reports. And then it's only $10 per offender that they enroll, and that covers that offender all the way till they deactivate the bracelet. So they're charging $150 to $300 enrollment fees. So it's not that they're taking money, a lot of money. The association is not going to be doing that. The point of it is to make sure that the providers are following the law. I hate to have a law that is so good that's not being policed. There's no teeth to it because no one's watching. And in Orleans Parish, we already have 2 providers being investigated by the Attorney General for failing to report. So it does work. The pilot has been out for 2 years. And again, if anybody wants to look at it, you go in, you can register as a public view and see it. If you're in law enforcement, you can actually get law enforcement view. And I don't mind. Yes. ASAPGPS.org. I am. It's well, the law says that the court and the sheriff has to have a registry of certified GPS providers. We have a registry in St. Bernard, but only St. Bernard can see it. We have a great registry in Cato, but only Cato can see it. It's not a statewide registry. And that would be a problem. 64 fragmented registries would be a problem, not only for our local law enforcement, but for our legislation to be able to pass to make sure that these providers are actually doing what they're supposed to do. We have overcrowded, underfunded jails. We have people stuck in jail because they can't afford their bond. That's the truth. But in a digital jail is a great place as long as we make sure. One of the other things we're going to be pushing for is, as a bondsman, I am a licensed bondsman. I go to a jail, I take custody of an offender. I'm licensed, I'm regulated. Everybody knows I'm not a convicted felon. However, GPS providers don't have to register anywhere, there's no license. So we are recommending that they require GPS providers to get licensed as bail agents so we don't have to rewrite any books. They go in, now we make sure they're not convicted felons getting their fellow gang members out of the jail. We make sure they're keeping their data for 10 years. The state police can walk in a bail office and say, show me your file room, and we have to. Why not providers? So that's one of the things we're going to be working with. That's just the enrollment fee. There's a daily cost to GPS, and they're charging anywhere between $15 and $20 a day. So, but yeah, so that's one of the things we are going to be pushing for, is to make sure these providers get licensed and regulated as soon as possible.
Get them telling the story about how the benefit of quickly found the guy that was responsible for.
So there's two stories. Tyree Quinn was the I-10 shooter in New Orleans. He killed 4 people on the interstate. They had him in custody in an hour and a half because of the offender management system. Nicholas Marana killed 1 and shot 3 others on Iberville and Royal in broad daylight in the French Quarter just last October. From the scene, they pulled up the offender management system, realized he was on an ankle monitor, got the number to the provider, called the provider. He was in custody 45 minutes later. That's how this works. It's over and over and over that we're able to go in and make sure. And in fact, the offender management system isn't even out in Tangipahoa Parish, but they arrested a guy there for a carjacking. He was on an ankle monitor. It took them a month and a half to find out who was monitoring that. Once they did, they were able to go back, and now he's charged with 5 carjackings. Just imagine what they could have charged him with had they been able to have it right at their fingertips. So, well, that's the thing. People on ankle monitor, they commit crime, they get caught. They only get charged with the one they got caught with. If using the offender management system now, they get caught the first or second time, depending on your law enforcement agency, and they never go backwards. And in the jurisdictions I've already trained, law enforcement can pull up at a scene, put in the address of that scene, hit submit, and find out if anybody wearing an ankle monitor was at that location. From there, they can do all of their own investigations by logging into the ankle monitor themselves and seeing the dots themselves. That's what the association wants to see happen. They want every law enforcement to have that tool at their fingertips and be able to make sure that the people, the truth of the matter is we have a great state. We have a handful of people that cause a lot of havoc. And a lot of those people are released from the jail with no supervision or on supervision. We can help with the ones on supervision. The digital jail is a real thing. Louisiana is the only state in the country that puts providers in jail. Now we need to make sure that we're doing that when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Thank you.